Thank you for joining us today as we discuss back to school mental health awareness, signs your child may need more support. We know this is a busy time for all of us, and we appreciate you making time for this session. My name is Hallie Reagan, and I'll be presenting today with Amy Dinkle. This presentation has been prepared with the rest of the Hillsborough Cluster School Social Workers. We are with the MMPS School Social Work Department. Our goal is to help improve students' social emotional learning and academic outcomes. We provide advocacy, individual and group counseling, consultation, and referrals to community agencies. This presentation is made in partnership with the MMPS Social Emotional Learning Department and the School Social Work Department, which is under the Department of Student Support Services.
So in thinking about child mental health and what it is, it's a complete well-being, emotionally, behaviorally, socially, and even cognitively. It's that optimal development in all those areas. Children's mental health is often defined different from adult mental health because of the unique developmental milestones that children experience throughout their childhood. So mental health is reaching those developmental and emotional milestones, along with learning those pro-social skills and how to cope when problems arise. A child's emotional experiences are important, and they influence all aspects of their lives. So mental health is often that response to what is going on in a child's life.
So we know that there's always things that affect students' mental health, but this year in particular, it's brought some unique experiences and challenges that add another layer to addressing mental health. Along with typical factors such as peers, social media, family changes, among many other things, we're seeing more current events that are impacting mental health in a way that we haven't seen before. For example, we're seeing a lack of face-to-face engagement with peers. Students are becoming more isolated, more lonely, and therefore they're spending more time on their phones or computers just to try to get that interaction with their peers. And that often leads to more time on social media, which we know that itself can be very stressful. Online learning is another thing that is impacting our students' mental health. So they are having to navigate a whole new platform that they may or may not be familiar with. There's new policies, there's new procedures. They might be more hands-on learners, which can be more difficult in an online setting. They may not be able to ask their teachers questions as easily. And now they're spending their schooling for multiple hours a day in front of a computer screen, which can be a huge adjustment. They're also spending their time learning at home or another environment that might be what they're not used to doing schooling at. They're having their parents there or siblings there, trying to navigate the school setting with that too. There's also a grief over a new normal. So students aren't able to attend extracurricular activities, band, theater, sports, and like I said before, they're not able to spend as much time with friends and extended family. There's a fear surrounding the COVID-19 virus as well, understandably. There's a lot of unknowns about it. They might be worried about getting it themselves or passing it along to other family members, or just not sure about, their family or friends' safety. There also might be some economic uncertainty with parents' jobs and the current economic environment. Maybe hours have been cut, which has affected this family financially. Also, there is a lot of political and racial tension in our country right now with the election season and the Black Lives Matter movement. So they could be seeing things on TV that could be very stressful, or just kind of bringing up personal traumas as well. So there are a lot of things that are happening this year that are impacting our students in addition to the things that they're typically struggling with.
So why is mental health important? When we take care of our children, we want to take care of all of their needs, right? If your child has a fever or another physical ailment, you seek guidance and you treat the issue. You might call the doctor's office for a consult. You may make an appointment and go in. Well, the same is true for your child's mental health needs. We encourage you to seek guidance and to seek treatment. I feel like we have worked really hard in our society, and especially during these times, to get rid of that stigma in addressing mental health and being able to talk about it. There is no shame for asking for supports with your child's mental health. You and your child are worth it. And there's so much help here in the community that's available. And there's so many supports and help within your child's school too.
Sometimes the hardest part in addressing mental health is just knowing what to look for. And if we don't know what to look for, then there's no way that we can begin to address it. So we've included a list of some warning signs, and this is by no means a complete list. So you might see some signs in your child that they're struggling that are not listed here. And likewise, you might see some signs that are listed here that you do not see in your child. So just because they're on this list does not mean that you have to check that box to know that they're struggling with their mental health. It's really important to recognize what is typical behavior for your student and what is atypical behavior for your student, what's not typical. So you might occasionally see some school refusal, or maybe they're having a bad day and they're just becoming more disrespectful or more stubborn. They might be overly tired one day, and that doesn't necessarily mean that there is a problem with mental health, but it is something to monitor. And if you keep seeing those behaviors on a reoccurring basis, it's definitely something that you want to address. You know your student better than anyone else, and if there is some concern there, then definitely take it seriously, because sometimes students don't know how to express that they're feeling a certain way, and it just comes out in these warning signs. So some of the signs that you might see are self-injury, the student becoming more withdrawn or isolated, seeing signs of depression or anxiety. You might also see some physical complaints, so students might complain of having headaches or stomach aches, and there's no natural reason for those complaints. They might have a poor appetite, not eating as much, or they might be overeating. You might see an increase in fatigue or sleeping, or you might see the opposite and they might not be sleeping at all. More school refusal, feeling helpless, hopeless, diminished interest in things that they typically really enjoyed, becoming more aggressive or disrespectful, having more frequent outbursts with you or with siblings or friends, and then also just becoming more stubborn too. So these are some signs to look for and to definitely take seriously if you are starting to see this in your child, and look for ways to get help.
Holly just went through a list of symptoms and warning signs and thinking about concerns within child mental health. Any of these warning signs alone or combined that are persistent, are severe, and cause impaired functioning in your child's life needs intervention. Looking at how often a behavior occurs, how long it lasts, or the intensity of the mood or behavior can help a practitioner make the best assessment. The top 6 warning signs are feeling sad or down. The second is extreme mood swings, excessive worrying, being very fearful, low energy, sleeping difficulties, difficulty concentrating, confused thinking, and withdrawal from friends and activities. This last one, the withdrawal from friends and activities, is more difficult to determine during this time of COVID in the virtual learning space, as we're using the computer screens for school and there isn't the socialization opportunities available. So seek guidance and ask questions if you're unsure.
Now that we've talked about what childhood mental health is, what are some current events that are impacting childhood mental health, and what are some warning signs, you might be thinking, okay, so what now? What can I do as a parent to help with their mental health? Maybe I recognize that they are struggling and I'd like to know what are some things that I can do. Or maybe I don't think they're struggling yet, but I just want to make sure that I'm there for them as best I can be. So it's really important to talk to your child every single day, build that relationship with them, and let them know that you are a supportive person, that if there is a problem, you are a safe person that they can come to. And now we're doing a lot of temperature checks as we go into buildings, when we go into doctor's offices, and that's kind of the sign that we're doing okay physically. It's also important to do emotional temperature checks. So asking your child, how was your day? What was the best thing about your day? What was something that made you happy today? What was something that made you sad today? Maybe it's even creating a graph that shows different emoji faces and asking them, if you had to pick an emoji to describe your day today, which one would it be? Or asking them on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, how would you say your day was today? Also, creating a routine with your child. Consistency is really important to children, and it really helps decrease the anxiety that they feel when they're not sure what's coming next. In our world right now, there is a lot of uncertainty and routines are being changed. And so just as much as you can, create that routine, create that consistency, and it really does help with diminishing children anxiety. Teach and reinforce positive behaviors. So students look at adults, they look at the positive people in their life as an example. And so just showing that behavior and showing them how to respond if you are having a bad day, or if you see them having a bad day, or maybe they had a conflict with a sibling, just recognizing, I really love the way that you responded to your sister. Encouraging good physical health. We know that when we're good physically, we feel good emotionally. Spending some time outside, going on walks, exercising, drinking water, getting enough sleep, that's always important. And ensuring a safe home environment, doing what you can to make sure that when you are at home, because we know that we're spending so much time at home, just making sure that they do feel safe at home with you. Create a sense of belonging, let them know that you care, that you're there for them. And as a parent, it's really important to care for your own mental health. Children, like I said, look at adults and they see how you react when you're having a bad day. And so if they see you taking care of your mental health, then they will see that and want to help their own mental health as well.
So what if your child needs more support? Reaching out to your child's pediatrician or to your child's school is a great place to start. Nowadays, many doctors' offices have child therapists available or can easily make referrals within the community. And it's really important to note that a pediatrician, a doctor, wants to see your child if they're displaying those signs, those warning signs that we've talked about today in our presentation. Doing a medical workup, a medical assessment, may determine if there's something medically causing this. Also, at all of our MNPS schools, we have school counselors and school social workers, and many of our schools have school-based therapists, as well as many other social, emotional supports and programs. Most importantly, if your child states that they want to harm themselves or others, always, 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 please take this seriously. In this event, you as a parent would want to reach out to mobile crisis or your nearest emergency room. We have listed 24-hour available crisis numbers on this PowerPoint. We've listed the crisis text line and a crisis website to access. There are many other supports and hotlines. These are just a few of those that we like to use. All calls are confidential too. We truly hope this session has been helpful to you and your family. If you have any further questions, we'd love to talk with you and work together to support your family and your child. Please email us at familysupport@mnps.org. Again, that's familysupport@mnps.org. You will also find it listed on your screen. When you do email, give us a brief explanation of your need and the best way for us to contact you back. We are happy to text, call, or email. Thanks again for allowing us to join you in supporting your child and family, and we're all in this together.